It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in.
After all of my deployments were done in 2010, I pursued my active license. And then from there, because I was on shore duty for the last 3 years of my time in the Navy. So from that point, I started to be an active agent for Long and Foster, after my military, after my, my Navy days. So after I was done with the Navy, I would go to Long and Foster, show houses, sell houses, with clients. That's pretty much how this whole real estate thing came about for me.
For sure, for sure. I
It
know.
was just
Yeah.
so it was just it just started just for me wanting to know how to purchase a house.
Right. Right. Definitely. I think that's really great. That you did your homework. A lot of times, I mean, it's good to you did your homework and you were made sure you're at a place where you're comfortable with the knowledge you had before taking whatever the next step was. And I think it's a smart thing to do. You didn't fall into just learning, and not doing. You took it kind of step by step. So I like the fact that you did it in that way.
But it's just
For sure. So one of the main reasons I was very excited about this episode was that we would have an opportunity to discuss the VA loan. I know we've kind of chatted back and forth in the DMs and talked about it. You mentioned your book and such. But before we go further, can you give an explanation of what exactly the VA loan is?
yes. The VA loan, home loan, excuse me, is basically it's a program set up. It what it does is it secures the loan to lenders. Let's say a veteran or a service member, for whatever reason, doesn't make good on their loan. Well, the Veterans Affairs, what they're doing is they're backing that loan 100%. And with that, they allow veterans and service members to purchase a home using no money down instead of going conventional, putting 20% down, or even going FHA, where you have to put a 3.5% down. The VA is basically saying, look, if you qualify or if you're eligible, you can purchase a home with zero down. So and zero down means towards the home, but a lot of people they're gonna assume that they can go through this whole process without putting no money into it. Now, mind you, it's not gonna be as much as if you use conventional or FHA, but there are minor things you're still gonna need money for. As far as the earnest money deposit or the money for the home inspection, little minor stuff. It's not gonna cost thousands of dollars, but it is money.
For sure, for sure. And do you have to is it only for those who have served, or can you be a relative of somebody who has served as well?
As far as being a relative, you would have to be a spouse
Okay.
of a veteran that passed away doing service.
Okay.
So that's the only way it will transfer to a relative.
Got it. Got it. I mean, I think that's really great, especially for those who have served, or maybe they have a relative who has served, but for whatever reason they want to own a home, but they haven't pursued that route of it, or maybe they don't know too much about it. I think it can be really great on both of those fronts for someone to use. So can you talk to us about the first time that you used it?
Um, yes, I can, but the first time I used it, I had just got my real estate license,
Mhm.
and I was still very not what's the word? I didn't really know everything. I didn't even know a lot. I just knew enough to get me by.
Mhm.
And when I did first use it, one of the biggest things that actually made me want to write this book is because I didn't have anyone to go to. Or I didn't have no kind of reference to help me along the process other than take real estate classes, And me personally, I feel like you shouldn't have to take real estate classes to go to learn the ins and outs of purchasing a home. But the process I went through, I had a pretty good agent, and it wasn't too bad, but there definitely are things that I picked up along the way that I wish I would have did or didn't do. But it was pretty much painless. It wasn't too bad at all. Could have been better though.
What are some of those things that you thought could have been better?
One thing, I didn't get a home inspection.
Oh wow. The
Yeah.
agent didn't encourage you to do that?
He encouraged me not to, actually.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And me, because what happened was the people, when they were selling the house, well, the people that before me, their loan had fell through for whatever reason. I don't know why, but their loan had fell through. So they had just got a home inspection done.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was my agent used the home inspection from the previous people. Say, hey, here's the home inspection. We can, you don't have to purchase a home inspection. Now, I say that to say, I definitely, knowing what I know now, that wouldn't have happened because I would have got my own home inspector. And with that being said too, I know that sometimes agents don't like their clients to get home inspections because the agents know that during the home inspection process, their client can back out at any time.
Right.
Without no notice, no nothing, and get their earnest money deposit back. So looking back on it, I think that was my agent's way of keeping the deal going, and making sure I didn't back out, even though everything worked out. But I definitely don't advise anybody to not get a home inspection.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Is there anything else that you thought could have been better in that first experience?
Just the lack of communication with my loan officer. I probably talked to my loan officer maybe once,
Yeah.
maybe during the whole process, which now that I'm seasoned, I know that's horrible.
For sure.
So definitely, and I definitely don't advise that either. Just because when I went to closing, I did go to closing. So my agent told me that my mortgage was going to be one thing, but when I actually went to closing, it was actually maybe like $200-300 more,
Mm-hmm.
which I wasn't expecting.
For sure. For sure. And was that first purchase, was that a single family home or a multi-family home?
That was a single family home. Yes.
Got you. And what I like about that is you as you mentioned before, you didn't know everything, but you knew enough to get you to the finish line. And
Right.
a lot of times, and granted, there are some things you could have done better, but it worked out, and I think a lot of times we get hung up on the things we don't know and just trying to like turn over every stone, which is a good thing to do. But I think there's a balance of, checking off your boxes, making sure you're doing your due diligence and continuing to progress forward and take action. So it's really good that, in spite of, what could have been better, you continued and you got that first purchase done with the VA loan. So how did things go from there? What happened from there real estate wise?
Well, from there, after maybe 2 years of being a real estate agent, that wasn't really for me. Even though I like real estate, I'm not a people's person, all the way. I'm not a salesman. That's what I'm
Gotcha.
not.
Gotcha.
And I realized that. But I still love real estate though. And also, what I was very impressed with during my time as a real estate agent was the investors. That's actually when I sparked the idea of, wow, I can be an investor. That's what really, got my attention. Not being a real estate agent. I ain't got nothing against real estate agents. It just wasn't for me. But being an investor, that's what really made me, excited about real estate. And what I didn't know, especially about, buying my first home, if I were to do it all again, I definitely probably would have purchased a multi-unit
Mhm.
family home. Again, I didn't know anything about it, but I definitely would have went that route instead of the single family home route I did go.
Are you looking for a community of like-minded individuals and access to experts in real estate?
Yeah,
Are you interested in real estate but need more support and guidance?
you know who it is.
The Black Real Estate Dialogue presents the Real Estate Investing Community.
I'm back.
No matter how much or how little real estate experience you have, we've created a community for you because your perspective is important. All right, tell me, where's the number one place where you can do Q&A with experienced guest speakers 2 times per month? How about unlimited access to past guest speakers' recordings? What about a private Slack channel to engage in daily discussion with everybody in the community to share resources and support each other? Head on over to blackrealestatedialogue.com. That's blackrealestatedialogue.com. It's the real estate investing community presented by the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Come join us today.
Thank you. So, for people in the audience, listeners who may not know you, can you just share a bit about who you are?
Yeah, Dan Wynn. I'm a Navy brat who decided to join the Army when I got older, and I run an education platform called Military Cash Flow. I'm active duty military myself. I'm active duty Army, and I'm a finance officer. I used to be infantry officer. Got to do a lot of cool things. Go to Ranger School, jump out of airplanes, rappel from helicopters, all those cool things. And recently changed over to finance. So now I'm managing the budget, doing the money stuff. And we started with my partner, Mike Glaspie, who's also he's a former Special Forces weapons sergeant. And we got together, linked up together, and we created this education platform called Military Cash Flow. And we help other service members build wealth and create cash flow through real estate while sharing our stories and sharing the stories of other service members that are doing the same thing. So we're all about wealth creation, man. I'm on the same thing as same tip as you do, just trying to put out content and create value and add value to whoever I can, so.
Definitely, that's cool, man. That's cool. So you mentioned you were a Navy brat. Where have you lived as a child, and then also as an adult in the Army? I'm sure you've been around quite a bit.
Yeah, so I don't think I've been in a school for longer than 3 years. I think 3 years is the longest I've been at one single school, and that was in high school from sophomore to my junior year. But lived in Jacksonville, Florida for the most part. My dad got stationed there a couple times. Lived in Newport, Rhode Island. Lived in Norfolk, Virginia. Lived in Cincinnati, Ohio for a little while. As an adult, I've lived in Savannah. I've lived in Savannah, Georgia. I've lived in Columbia, South Carolina. I lived in Watertown, New York, Fort Drum, Fort Jackson. And now I'm back here at Fort Stewart in Savannah again. So I really, really enjoy it. I've moved around a lot though. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Cool, man. So tell us more about your childhood, what that was like, and, as you grew up, what you saw or maybe what you didn't see that ultimately shaped your view of building wealth.
Yeah. So wealth creation wasn't at least talking a lot about money and finances and things like that. I think I come from a background of what a lot of listeners to our podcast, your podcast, also mine as well, where that's not really a thing. I don't know too many people, even growing up, my parents weren't investors. They weren't great with money, they were pretty much living paycheck to paycheck for the most part. Right. And money just wasn't really talked about. So I really didn't get a financial savvy upbringing. I was taken care of. My both my parents were employed. I did have both my parents. We lived in a decent area, so that was great. I mean, I guess that's as solid as a foundation as you could hope for, right? But I didn't get the financial education, right? I just got a very good upbringing, in my opinion. So.
Definitely. So what made you want to get into real estate? You know, given that, you know, you didn't really come from that background, what ultimately told you like, all right, cool, this is something that, you know, I want to do and something that I want to be part of what I use to build wealth?
So real estate came about. I went to college. I went down to Orlando, Orlando at UCF. So I graduated from UCF. But the first year I went to UCF, I went there because, you know, I wanted to party. It's a big party school, you know. I went there for a year. I wrestled for part of that year as well, and then I dropped out. And I was like, hey man, I'm not handling it for some reason. I made a dumb decision and decided to take 7 a.m. classes, knowing I'm a night, you know, I'm a night person. I'm trying to go clubbing every night, you know. This is when I was young, real young, but I ended up dropping out. I tried the 9-to-5 thing for a while, did that for 2 years. And you know, I felt like that wasn't the way, right? I wasn't satisfied with what I was doing. I didn't see any true potential payoff, right? And luckily, the company that I worked for, Cox Enterprises, I was working at Auto Trader. I was like typing up the words in the magazine, you know. One of my coworkers, right before we got laid off, he was reading a book. It was called Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. So I read through that book, and that's where the light bulb kind of clicked, and it kind of talked a lot about the traditional way of building wealth, you know, stocks, IRAs, 401ks, things like that. And then another time he was reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he passed me that book, and then I read that book, and then that kind of solidified, all right, this is what I got to do. I got to figure out some way to make my money work for me. And through Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I understood, hey, real estate is an avenue to do that, right? And I'm not going to lie, after I read the book, I was kind of upset. I was like, why didn't they teach us this in school? You know, why is this stuff not talked about, you know? So I was a little upset, but I took that information and then I applied it. I figured out a way how I could kind of marry the two together, right? I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's very hard to not have any money, right? And then invest in real estate. So what most people do is kind of you'll go get a job, some kind of decently paying job, and then you start saving that way, right? Well, I looked into the military. Obviously, I came from a military background. When I read that Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he was also an aviation. He was also an Army officer, or excuse me, a Marines officer. And that's kind of the route that I went. And I saw that, you know, you can make a decent living that way. There's this thing called the VA loan, which we can get into eventually, which is like the FHA loan on crack, you know, and then there's just a lot of benefits and especially leadership, right, that comes along with it. These traits that can carry over to any business that I would create in the future, right? And that's ultimately what the goal was, is to create my own business. And I knew that through the military, I could gain the leadership skills while at the same time make money to then go and parlay that into my own business, right? So.
Definitely. So tell us about the beginning, like your first deal and how that went.
So my first true investment was a single family in Jacksonville, Florida. I had owned a couple of single families before that, but those were owner occupied, right? I used the VA loan to do that. This is before I knew with the VA loan and the FHA loan, you can get a multifamily unit. Didn't know that at the time, but I ended up getting a single family unit in Jacksonville. I bought it for I literally bought it for $25,000, put about $25,000 into it. And then the home across the street sold for $110,000. So refinanced out at 65% loan to value. I made money off the refi, and then took that money and then went and bought a 4-unit, bought my first 4-unit. So basically, you know, did that there. And there was a lot of lessons learned through that single family. It was just a great deal for me. I think I got it at the right time, right? It's a lot of preparation, a lot of saving on the back end, but got the deal done. And it was just a great experience. And at that point, I was hooked. I mean, it's like, you really can't, you really can't go back from there, you know?
Hi everyone, Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Make sure to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button, and to visit us at blackrealestatedialogue.com.